Hey guys, here's going to be the homework video for section 8.4, and if I can manage to find room, I'll also go ahead and do the 2.8 homework on here. So hopefully you've seen the notes already. There's some different ways of asking these questions. We're going to start with number 9, where this would be a coefficient of something that has 14 terms, and it would be one of the first coefficients. So a combination of 14 things taken one at a time. Remember, from the notes we want to go into math, and we want to be able to use some of our probability functions. That's going to be number 3, is the combination. Actually, I have to put in the 14 first, though. I have to go 14 combination 1, and that's going to give me 14. In number 13, we've got just a different notation. So with the 10 and the 4 and the big parentheses like that, that's a combination of 10 things taken 4 at a time. So we'll go into the calculator and we'll do 10 things. Combination 4 at a time. So that's 210. In number 19, we're going to have, let's see, 50 and 48. So 50 combination 48, 1,225. Number 23, that's actually the first binomial expansion problem that we've had. So we want to be able to expand x plus 2 to the 4th. And so we kind of want to look back at some of our notes. And to be able to expand x plus 2 to the 4th, we're going to need to figure out our binomial coefficients. So we're going to have, the first one is, let's see, so we'll end up with 5 terms, but we'll do 4 things taken 0 at a time, 4 things taken 1 at a time, 4 things taken 2 at a time, 4 taken 3 at a time, and 4 taken 4 at a time. Okay, so using our calculator, 4 things taken 0 at a time is 1, 4 things taken 1 at a time is 4, 4 things taken 2 at a time is 6, and then 4, and then 1. So now we want to substitute our coefficients and then use our descending orders of the different descending powers of x and ascending powers of 2. So I'm going to put my binomial coefficients in blue, and then I'm going to have x to the 4th and 2 to the 0, so I don't really have to write that one. And this is positive in here, so I'm going to have a plus in the middle. And I've got 4 as my binomial coefficient, then I'll have x to the 3rd, and then I'll have 2 to the 1st. Then I've got my next binomial coefficient as a 6, and then x to the 2nd, and 2 to the 2nd, and then my binomial coefficient, and this one is 4, and then I'll have x to the 1 and 2 to the 3rd, and then I'll have my binomial coefficient of 1 and 2 to the 4th. So now I can go back through and simplify all of that. We'll have x to the 4th, 4 times 2 is 8, 6 times 4 is 24, 4 times 8 is 32, and 2 to the 4th is 16. And so there's your final answer. In number 23, no, that's what we just did. Number 35, let's see, I kind of passed it over a little bit. Number 35, we've got a 1 minus 4x to the 3rd power. So let's look at our binomial coefficients. 3 things taken 0 at a time is 1. 3 things taken 1 at a time is 3. 3 things taken 2 at a time is also 3, and 3 things taken 3 at a time is 1. So now I'm going to have my binomial coefficient times the first term to the 4th power, so 1 to the 3rd. Then I've got my next coefficient times 1 to the 2nd times negative 4x to the 1. Then I've got my next coefficient, which is 3 again, times 1 to the 1st and negative 4x squared, plus my binomial coefficient is 1 times 1 to the 0, which is 1, times negative 4x cubed. So we need to go through and simplify everything. 1 times 1 is 1. So now I've got negative 4x times 3 is minus 12x, plus negative 4x squared is 16x squared times 3 is 48x squared. And then negative 4 to the 3rd power is 64, negative 64. So we've got negative 64x cubed. So that should be a minus 64x cubed. So I want you to notice that whenever you have a minus here as part of your initial binomial, you're going to have alternating pluses and minuses all the way down the line in your polynomial. Okay, so let's take a look at number 37 and see how this one's different. So we've got x squared plus 2, and all of that is to the 4th. So again, we're going to list our binomial coefficients. We've got 4 and 0 is 1, 4 and 1 is 4, 4 and 2 is 6, 4 and 3, combination of 4 things 3 at a time is 4, and 4 things 4 at a time is 1. And so then our initial, so we have an a and a b here, and a is x squared. So I'm going to do my binomial coefficient, 1 times a to the 4th, so that's x squared to the 4th. And then b is 2, and that there's none of those in the first term. So plus 4 times x squared to the 3rd times 2 to the 1st, plus 6 times x squared squared times 2 squared, plus 4 times x squared to the 1st times 2 to the 3rd, plus 1 times x squared to the 0 is just 1 times 2 to the 4th. So now let me go ahead and work out all my math. And I've got x to the 8th plus 4x to the 6th plus, 4 times 2, that was 8x to the 6th, my bad. We've got a 4 here times 6 is 24, and then x squared squared is x to the 4th, plus 4 times 8, 32, x squared, plus 1 times 2 to the 4th is 16. In number 55, okay, so we are ready to start on number 55. We're actually just being asked in number 55, we're given the binomial x plus 8 to the 10th power, and we want to find the 4th term. So I want you to think about, in the 4th term, you're going to have 1, 2, 3 terms before it. So in the 4th term, we're going to have x to the 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th. And then 8 is going to be to the 0, 1, 2, 3rd. And then we'll have the binomial coefficient of 10 things. Here we'd have it taken 0, 1, 2, 3 at a time. So I want you to realize that when you're finding certain terms in a binomial expansion, even though they tell you they want the fourth term, generally you're going to use one less than that for the formula. So now we just need to substitute in here whatever it is we need to know. So I want to know what 10 things taken 3 at a time is, so I'm going to put in 10 and my combination 3 at a time, and that's 120. And we'll have x to the 7th, and then we still have this 8 to the 3rd. So that's 512. 120 x to the 7th times 512. So that is going to give us 61,440 x to the 7th will be the fourth term of x plus 8 to the 10th. In number 67, let me get a new piece of paper here. So in number 67, we've actually got a little bit more complicated binomial here. 3x minus 2y to the 9th. And we want to find a in the x to the 6th y cubed term. So which term would that be? That would be, the first term would have x to the 9th, x to the 8th, 7th. So this would actually be the fourth term. So to find a, we would have a combination of 9 things taken 0, 1, 2, 3 at a time. So that's going to be things taken 3 at a time. So that's 84. And then x to the 6th, so that's actually going to be 3x to the 6th. And then y to the 3rd is actually going to be negative 2y to the 3rd. So that's all of the math we need to work out. So 3 to the 6th is 729. And then negative 2 cubed is negative 8. So actually our coefficient is negative 489,888 x to the 6th, y to the 3rd. In number 71, we want to use Pascal's triangle to find the binomial coefficient. So here we're looking for 7, 4. So even though I've taught you a way to just plug that into your calculator, I just go ahead and make a new binomial triangle, or a Pascal's triangle, whenever I need to. It's not hard. It's not too time consuming. You just remember to add up the terms on each triangulation, and you have to notice that they're symmetrical each time. So you should definitely get the same pattern on each side of the triangle. So here we have 7 layers of the triangle. So 7 things taken 4 at a time. That would be right here. So 35 would be the answer to that one. And then number 79, you're just being asked to expand the binomial by using Pascal's triangles. So that's going to be x plus 2y to the 5th. And so we're just going to take our 5th row, and we are going to go ahead and work it out. So we've got a 1, and then x to the 5th. I've got a 5, x to the 4th. Then times 2y to the 1st. I've got 10 times x to the 3rd times 2y to the 2nd. I've got another 10 times x squared times 2y to the third plus 5 times x times 2y to the fourth plus 1 times 2y to the fifth. So now that I've got all of that stuff written down there, I can go ahead and work out my coefficients. So I've got x to the fifth plus 5 times 2 is 10, x to the fourth y, plus 10 times 2 squared, so that's 40x cubed y squared, plus 10 times 2 cubed, which is 80 x squared y to the third, plus 2 to the fourth is 16 times 5 is 80 x y to the fourth, x to the 0, y to the fourth, no, x to the 1, plus, then this last term, 2 to the fifth, is 32y to the fifth. So that's all there is to it, and that is the last problem. This one right here is pretty similar to what you'll find on a test. And you can solve it using Pascal's triangle, or you can go back and do the combinations of numbers in order to get those coefficients. Thanks for watching.